Need more energy throughout the day? Looking for a kick to your workout? RockinThatIDLife.com has you covered with delicious flavors you've grown to love in tropical fruit and mixed berry, but now fall in love with the new fruit punch and orange flavors. Try them all at RockinThatIDLife.com.
Realtor Mike Burgoyne with Real Brokerage LLC makes the moving process easier. Work with a realtor who plays and studies the game and will work as hard as the boys on the ice to get you the best deal. Check out Mike on the web at strikewithmike.com and jumpstart your move today. That's strikewithmike.com.
And that's right, the summer series has begun, albeit a little earlier than we had hoped. This is Let's Go Blues Radio, and I'm your host, Jeff Ponder. Thanks for tuning in this week as we kick off the summer in April. Feels weird. Support for Let's Go Blues Radio is brought to you in part by RockinThatIDLife.com, where we help you make every workout, every meal count, do life better. And by Mike Burgoyne of Real Brokerage Realty. Use StrikeWithMike.com to search properties in your area and to contact Mike, who will help put you in your dream home or sell your current home. And by Center Ice Brewery, which serves St. Louis with flavorful hockey-themed beer. Find your new favorite brew at local grocery and liquor stores throughout the St. Louis area. This is franchise episode number 410 all-time. This is season 12, episode 1, and we're kicking it off with a nice special guest today, which we will get to in just a couple minutes, but that guest is Vanessa Graf. She joins the show to discuss the usual suspects in terms of prospects, but also she's got a couple ones that she's really excited to talk about, including Marc-Andre Gaudet, Leo Loof, Landon Sim, and others. And, of course, we talk about the goaltending in Springfield, which is on the rise and looks good, and should be seeing one of those guys in St. Louis next year. I think everybody knows what I'm talking about. And just remember, too, we're going to have plenty of interviews throughout the summer. But more importantly, with these summer shows, we're starting our all-time team reveals next month. So, case maybe you just tune in for the summer series, I don't know. I don't think anybody does. But if you do, the theme this year is Blues all-time team. We're picking with a panel, help from a panel, as well as people on Twitter making votes on who belongs on the Blues all-time team. So, again, we have a panel that's kind of selecting the first couple people and saying, okay, these people need to be included. And we've got for each position in terms of forwards, we have 8 forwards, and then it would be 6 left-handed D, 6 right D, 4 goalies, 4 coaches. And basically we're dwindling that down to a roster. And so how we're doing that, panelists are picking their teams, who they think belongs. And then we have Twitter polls of people coming on and picking of those panelist picks who belongs. And so who is this panel? Who are these people? Well, we're going to reveal that right now. So first of all, you've got the Let's Go Blues radio crew, which is me, Kurt Price, Bill Day, and, of course, producer Austin, who has a very limited he hasn't seen as many Blues games as us, as he's a younger man, but that's what I wanted. I wanted to make sure that every fan base was included here, every person of the fan base. We also have a couple podcasters, fellow podcasters, Jason Martin of the Blues Hockey Podcast, as well as Stephen Ground, 2 Guys, 1 Cup, both friends of the show we've had on multiple times, and hopefully we'll be having them on again to talk about some of their picks. Actually, that goes for a lot of these people. So happy to have them included. And then we also have, from the media, Jeremy Rutherford of The Athletic, and then Lou Korak of Sports Illustrated and NHL.com. They both have joined in, and they're part of the panel as well. So they kind of provide a little bit more expert analysis maybe than the rest of us do, as we're making more kind of based on fan votes, right? And then we have 3 just fans and friends of our show. Dr. Nighthawk, if you follow her on Twitter, she's great. Dr. Nighthawk is our first fan. Vanessa Graf, who we will be talking to here in a couple minutes. And then Ken Morris, friend of the show, guy that if you listen or even if you watch the live shows with us, when we do them live, Ken's always in the chat. So I'm sure you've heard his name if you're a listener of this show. So very happy to have that set of 11 people picking who belongs on this team. And then again, that all dwindles down into Twitter polls, which are running right now on our Twitter page over at LGB Radio. So right now, if you go on there, you'll see there's a vote running for the left-handed defenseman. So we already had our first poll, which was Chris Pronger, Jay Bouwmeester, and Bob Gassoff. The second poll for left-handed D is now Barrett Jackman, Barclay Plager, and Scott Stevens. So go on there, vote. Who is it that belongs on the team? And remember to comment on the Twitter poll as well for a chance to win a prize. So again, if you're not just voting, if you vote and then you say, well, I voted for Barrett Jackman because of Y, or I didn't vote for Barclay Plager because of Z, whatever it is, why you voted the way you voted, comment on the Twitter poll, tell me why. We might feature your comment on the show when we reveal who's going to be on the team, and you have a chance to win a prize. I've got multiple prizes this summer, so keep that going. And then also I'll be posting the link in Facebook as well on our Facebook page over at Let's Go Blues Radio. So if you don't have a Twitter, but you want to you can still go on and vote, even though you don't have a Twitter username. But if you want to comment in Facebook, so that way you're eligible for a prize, that is also acceptable. So keep that in mind. But yes, all Blues all-time team, we are rolling right now on social media. So make sure you go out and check that out. Well, coming up, we're going to hear from our friend Vanessa. We are going to sit down and talk about some Blues prospects. Again, she knows Thunderbirds very well, but then I just found out she knows a ton about other prospects in the Blues system as well. She's done a ton of research on it and seen some game tape. So we are going to talk to Vanessa right after this break from our awesome sponsors.
We'll return after these messages.
Every beer league hockey night, I grab my hockey bag and sticks and throw them in the trunk of my car. And the very next thing I do, I mix up a boost of energy courtesy of RockinThatIDLife.com. It's formulated to break up its delivery in 3 ways, which helps me get through all 3 periods of hockey. Phase 1 provides a rapid onset of energy, concentration, alertness, and motivation. By period 2, I'm receiving a dose of sustained energy, increased focus, metabolism, cognitive function, performance, and feelings of well-being, which I need with the way I play. In Phase 3, I'm getting fatigue protection without jitters and crash, an elevated mood, and a reduction of fluid retention to help me make the big play when it counts. This same triphasic approach helps me when I drink it during work hours or simply just for a pick-me-up when I need it. Try one of the 4 energy flavors by visiting RockinThatIDLife.com, but make sure to email Dustin at RockinThatIDLife@gmail.com and tell him Let's Go Blues Radio sent you to receive an additional 10% off your order. That's RockinThatIDLife.com.
Center Ice Brewery is a beer lover's dream for hockey fans. Based in St. Louis, Missouri, owner Steve Albers has been brewing hockey-themed favorites for thirsty sports fans since 2017. From the Beauty IPA to the Old Arena Lager, a cold, frosty, hockey-themed beer is just what the doctor ordered for hockey fans in St. Louis. Make sure to check your local beer store for Center Ice Brewery beer today. LGB. Let's go beer.
During the magical 2019 playoff run, I was in the midst of buying my current home. Every time I spoke with my realtor, obviously, home buying was the discussion. But in the back of my mind, I couldn't stop thinking about what was destined to happen for our St. Louis hockey team. If only there were a realtor who could have walked me through the process, held my hand when needed, but was there to be a sounding board when I wanted to complain about a certain hand pass goal. Let realtor Mike Burgoyne with Real Brokerage be that for you. He'll have your needs top of mind as he skates you through the home buying or selling process, dangling you past any obstacles and assisting on all your home goals. Check out strikewithmike.com for more information or give him a call directly at 314-753-4060. That's Mike Burgoyne with Real Brokerage at strikewithmike.com, and that number again is 314-753-4060. Don't forget to tell Mike that Let's Go Blues Radio sent you.
And now, back to Let's Go Blues Radio, the longest running St. Louis Blues podcast with Price, Ponder, and Day.
This is Jeff with Let's Go Blues Radio, and in this segment, I'm joined by friend of the show, Vanessa Graf. Vanessa's been on multiple times to talk about the Springfield Thunderbirds, as well as just guest hosted on this show before. So Vanessa's a longtime friend. Now she's here to talk about all kinds of prospects, not just the Thunderbirds. Vanessa, thank you very much for joining me today.
Yeah, it's not a problem.
And for those of you on video, you can tell we're both sporting some MLS stuff. Love the scarf. That's a good luck. I think my wife got the same. Yep, that's good. And then the hat. Show off the hat, too.
Yeah, I got it.
That's a beaut.
Oh, yeah.
That.
All the way back from 2017. One of the few really good Pride events they had.
Yeah, that's a Blues Pride hat, which I told Vanessa before we started. I don't think I've seen that before, so that's phenomenal. Love that exists. So, Vanessa, what you been up to in the last year, other than watching some bad Blues hockey?
Getting my health back, getting back to skating, working on a couple of different topics, playing some D&D, being a nerd. Of
course. So you've been skating over at the RP Lumber Center still?
Yeah, I still am.
Nice, very cool. Good rink for those of you in the area of Southern Illinois. That's probably, in my opinion, I've skated in a couple. With that one, it's brand new, so that helps. But I think it's the best rink in Southern Illinois.
Oof.
Disagree?
You're going to cause some fights from people in Granite City for that one.
Sorry, Granite City.
But no, I do agree. It is a very, very good rink. Yes. I am taking about a month or two off because I'm having an issue with my foot, but well, no, it's worth it.
Yeah, no, it's a beauty rink, and like I said, we did for those who hasn't seen it, we actually did a tour of the rink last summer as they opened, and it's not just a rink. I mean, it's a whole facility, workout area, track, hangout area for kids. Just a really cool rink.
Yep, it's right behind the high school of Edwardsville, my alma mater.
Very nice. Well, you got a plaque hanging up at Edwardsville, right? Maybe a monument with your face. I mean, what's the deal? A bust somewhere?
No, I'm actually part of the class that graduated from there that actually purchased a full-size copper tiger statue that sits in the main lobby.
Well, that's pretty cool.
That was our donation and token of appreciation for the school. Nice. It's a very well detailed statue too. It's really good.
Wow.
Thankfully, it's hollow, so it didn't cost like 20 times more. But
yeah,
it still looks pretty good.
I don't think we did anything for my school when we graduated. It was just kind of like, see ya. They were happy to be rid of us, though. I don't blame them.
Yeah, it used to be a tradition that the graduating class would fundraise for some kind of project or some kind of thing to give to the school to show off. Like, these students appreciated us so much that they did this for us and for the school in general. One year, one class did a fundraiser to build a giant computer lab, which is colloquially termed the fishbowl. Because when you're in the lobby, you can literally see into it. It's a very nice computer lab too. And it's specifically to be used for either extra classwork or studying or writing up papers and stuff.
Nice. Wow, that's impressive. Again, we didn't do anything like that when I graduated.
It was really cool.
That's great. Nice tradition there at Edwardsville. Very cool. So talking about traditions, the Springfield Thunderbirds have the tradition of making the playoffs recently. Everybody knows about their Calder Cup run last year. So here we go. It's the new season. Blues didn't make the playoffs, but you're thinking, hey, you know what? The Blues didn't make it, but I can root on the Thunderbirds. They can be the team I'll root for. If you're wanting to get on that bandwagon now, you are too late. They have lost. The first round of the AHL playoffs, for those who don't know, is a best of 3. They lost the first 2 games, and not in good fashion either. First game, a 6-1 loss. Game 2 is a 7-1 loss. Yes, Joel Hofer was the starting goalie of both those games. Just a rough series for the Springfield Thunderbirds.
To me, just from looking at the stats, it did not look they were able to really do much offensively. Even though, unfortunately, they went 9-4 against that specific team they were facing in the regular season, which
the Hartford Wolfpack
does not help.
Yeah, that hurts a little bit.
It does, and you really can't put this on Hofer because his stats the entire season were ranked in the top 10 to 15 easily.
Yeah, you got to wonder how bad that defense was. We talked before we went on here, and you had mentioned that you felt like maybe some of those bad defensive habits when they brought back down the Samarokovs, the Tuckers, maybe those spilled into the Springfield game.
No, and it does feel like it. It honestly felt like all of the call-ups that we ended up doing this year for the Blues, it may have actually backfired for the ending portion of the AHL, because I don't really think they were able to gel as well as they could have. And that's just a trickle-down effect, unfortunately, with how bad our season ended up happening.
Yeah. Well, the only goal scorers for Springfield in the series were Adam Gaudet, who was acquired in the Ryan O'Reilly trade, and then Will Bitton, who was a nice addition for, the Blues for a short period, and the Thunderbirds when he played for them as well. So the only 2 goal scorers were those guys, and Nikita Alexandrov, a name that Blues fans are familiar with, led the team with 2 assists. So what? You saw Alexandrov play for the Blues. We'll start with him. You saw him play for the Blues as well as the Thunderbirds. What was your take on his season this year?
My take with Alexandrov is he very much showed that he's very competent, a very good sense of awareness in his game. He understands what's happening. He understands where he needs to go, which is a huge plus when it comes to playing for Berube. Like, Berube is the kind of coach that you have to know what you're doing or he's going to chew you out.
We've seen that.
For me, that was the biggest thing for a prospect. That's why Jake Neighbors had to do a conditioning stint early on in the season. But this is also why Alexandrov was called up so often. Berube saw that he knew what he was doing. He was performing great in the AHL as well. He went 19-19, 38 points in 41 games with all the call-ups. That's amazing for a young player in the AHL.
Yeah.
Like, that's actually really fucking crazy.
Yep. Yeah, and I'll say when he was a Blue, you called it with his positioning. He always seemed to be the guy that was always in the right position at all times. He's not like the guy who's going to set up in the slot and be a goal scorer, but if there's an outlet that needs to be made, he's there ready for that outlet. He's right where he needs to be so the defense can move the puck up. And again, he's in the offensive zone. He always seems like he's in the right spot. He doesn't ever seem to really get beat out on his body positioning, which I liked a lot. Just a solid player for this, mostly Springfield, but your take on him possibly being a full-time Blue next year?
To be honest, I think he has a 90% shot at doing it. Especially if he centers the 4th line. If Barbashev doesn't come back, if we try and re-sign him, I can easily see Alexandrov taking over the 4th line, but as well being a utility for the 3rd line as well. I mean, yes, he didn't score a lot of points, but at the same time, this was his first time ever touching the NHL level of play. and he still got 7 points total in 28 games.
Mm.
I mean, even the best part, he was playing on the fourth line. He didn't have a negative plus minus at all. That's huge.
That's huge. Yep, I agree.
Because it's usually 9 times out of 10, the fourth line is what gets scored on.
Yep. And let's also say, who would you rather have? Nikita Alexandrov, Logan Brown? Give me Alexandrov all day.
Oh yeah, I will unfortunately say that yes. When it comes to Logan Brown, I feel like he needs a full season in the AHL to actually find his game. Like at this point, with how many times he's had to try and restart his progress just as a prospect in the sense in the Ottawa Senators organization, he just needs a full season in one spot to where he can build his game up completely. And then if he doesn't do anything with it the next year, then that's fine. He can find a different organization to try for.
Yeah, I think that his game is very much lacking. And we talked about him last week, actually, on the show, that we feel like he's a guy that when he came up, it was like, okay, like if he just puts his game together and becomes consistent, this guy is easily an NHL third liner. And if he can center a line, that's great. But to me, he didn't do anything this year. There was plenty of opportunities for him to step in and play a big role, and he just never grabbed the reins and went for it.
No, that's for sure. I mean, I'll harp back on the Ottawa Senators. Their ability to develop prospects has not been that good, especially during the time that Logan Brown was there. Like, it was just a constant losing streaks, both AHL and NHL, for a majority of the time. And I understand they picked him, but they should have picked someone that would fit their system better. He didn't.
Yeah.
And he's suffering for it, unfortunately.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think we'll see him. Maybe you're right. Maybe he gets a chance to come back and play for Springfield, but I don't think the Blues have any interest in bringing him back. I think we'll see him somewhere else. It's just a matter of we're going to see him in the NHL, the AHL, or somewhere lower.
I think right now, DA might throw him a small bone and give him a shot just to play in the AHL only for one season. And this to me is a last ditch prove it. Like,
yeah,
you need to show something. You have to.
Yep. Well, let's talk about someone a little bit more positive. Somebody who did show something this year, Joel Hofer, a guy that I know every member of this show is very excited about. You said it, had some unbelievable stats in the AHL this year, as well as playing well for the Blues when he stepped in. Your take on his game, and again, if he's a guy that you think is ready for the prime time next season in the NHL.
Yeah, so I'll start this off immediately. He is very much ready. Don't take into account his 2 games this postseason for the AHL. They're outliers when you actually look at his play in general. His regular season stats this year were exponentially better than last season. And last season, he carried the Springfield Thunderbirds to the finals. Like,
he's ready, huh? He's ready to go.
He is ready. He played more games. He increased his GAA, or not increased. He decreased it. He increased the save percentage. I always do that. Don't mind me on that.
Oh, I'm with you.
He got at least 5 shutouts and did it in style. Like, that is something you want in a goaltender who will eventually, in my opinion, he will replace Binnington as starter.
I could definitely see that. I think he is definitely the successor to Binnington. But as far as the next couple seasons go, I'm loving an idea of an 1A, 1B, a backup starter, whatever the mix is of Hofer Binnington. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, and it can easily be that for sure. And honestly, I think potentially after this year or after next season, it's more of a 1A, 1A.
Yeah, possibly.
Because even with the small what was it, 3 or 4 different games that he played for the NHL this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was still good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he got blown out by Detroit, but at the same time, Detroit's also an outlier when it comes to games. So it's like, we can easily do something with that.
Yeah, he had the rough game against LA that they sent him down for, and then I thought his last game against Dallas was meh. But at the same time, again, we've bitched about this defense all year long,
right?
And I think they showed because I think when he first came up, it was very much a play for the kid. Let's play some solid D. Let's build his confidence. But by the time he was at the end of his season, and he was kind of okay, this kid's played for us a couple times. You didn't see that urgency from the Blues D, and unfortunately, he got a little lit up, and that's not his fault.
Yeah.
It was bad defense in front of him.
No, that's for sure. And I believe it was Justin Falk. Like, he said it in his end of season presser. Things just slipped for all of the defense, the responsibility, everything. I mean, you had a rookie goalie come in and stop a one-timer from Ovechkin, which should have been a guaranteed goal, and he stopped it with his head. Like, kid has some guts. He's got some guts.
Yeah, he does. So what about the other goalie that played a lot there in Springfield this year, Vadim Jurenko? What are your thoughts on his play? He was called up for the Blues, never actually played, just backed up. So his time in Springfield, how do you look to you?
For me, I actually think DA Doug Armstrong found a diamond in the rough. This kid was drafted in the 7th round. He comes over from the Finnish league, Liga, and this guy played out of his mind in the AHL. Like, he was in the top 15, same as Hofer.
Yeah.
His save percentage was by far one of the best in the league too, with a .913. Like, that's amazing for a freshman.
Yeah. Yeah, when he was called up, we were all begging, like, why not get him a start?
Yeah.
Put the kid in there and let's just see what you got in him, because he's having a great year in Springfield. Let's see how he reacts to an NHL call-up.
Yeah. No, and even during the preseason, he played really well in the 1 or 2 games they had him play, like half of them. Yep. He was really good.
I remember that conversation when we were talking about how he's getting starts, and he was I think he was the second to last goalie sent down. And I remember I was saying then, I'm like, they might have something in the Jurenko kid. Like, there might be something here we didn't see before. And again, we'll see what step he takes next year in Springfield.
Yeah. I really think that he will take the reins in Springfield, especially considering there's not a lot of other goalies that are even worth a lick. I'll quickly touch on Colton Ellis. He was drafted in the 3rd round of the same year as Renko, and he's fallen pretty hard on his development. Like, he's been stuck in the ECHL and he isn't playing up to his potential as a 3rd rounder.
Yeah.
And you have Zarenko, who is actually known in Springfield as Big Z, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's playing like a 2nd round goalie prospect. Like, he is playing out of his mind, and he is a freaking gem.
So that kind of brings me to Tyler Tucker, a guy who, again, another 7th round pick, who has stepped up and played well. And
there he is.
For whatever reason, I don't want to say for whatever reason, but he has become a darling in St. Louis, as you know.
Oh, yeah. Fans
love him, and they love the grit, the determination. I love him because, I love his path to the NHL. 7th round pick again, and a kid that just worked and worked and worked in juniors. Now he becomes a great player in the AHL, a great defenseman. And now we're talking about him possibly being on the opening day lineup next year for the St. Louis Blues. So again, in terms of progression, his play in Springfield, the opening he got in St. Louis, your take on Tyler Tucker's movement this year. And again, will he be a Blue next season full time?
Yeah. So Tyler Tucker, to me, is what you want to have happen with a defenseman who develops in your system. This guy is giving me Joel Edmondson without the massive amount of penalties. Like, he's given me that positionality, that defensive zone structure. He's giving me that toughness, that grit. Like,
That's awesome. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Team
in
needs
the
it.
in the AHL, he played the same number of games as Alexandrov, and he scored well above his normal. And even in the NHL, he put up points. Yes, he got lit up because the rest of the defense was lackluster. We know this. We're not going to harp on it as much.
Right.
But he still showed up as a rookie, and he played his heart out every night. You could tell.
Yep.
Yes, a couple of mistakes, but that's what happens when you play against the best in the world.
So that's kind of a conversation that we had on this show recently about him was, yes, he's gritty. We love the to see that type of play out of him, but it did feel like sometimes maybe he made the extra physical play that knocked himself out of positioning and kind of was creeping in his game a little bit more and more. I think he thought he had to do a little bit more to stay in the lineup, and it just actually ended up, I think, causing issues, and eventually he got sent down. So do you see that as first of all, do you see it the same way as we do? And if you do, what do you think he makes a correction going into next season?
I can see him making a correction. I do agree with you that he was kind of making some plays that were questionable, but I feel that they were more directed towards he's trying to help the team and help the defense because the defense was just not clicking. So he was trying to overreach and overextend his own play, which ended up costing him in his plus minus, but it wasn't as bad as the rest of the defense.
No, not at all. I was even saying towards the end of the season, I'm like, just scratch Parayko, scratch Krug, and let's just see Perunovic and Kessel and Tucker in there just to see what they can do.
Yeah, to me, it was more of this kid's trying his heart out. And it's kind of like that saying that Torpachenko said in one of the pressers after a game, like, nobody plays with heart. This kid played with heart, and he tried. It just wasn't clicking with anyone, which is completely fine.
Yep. So I mentioned their names recently. Let me ask you now, because I think on the depth chart going into this season, maybe even 2 seasons ago, this is a definitive answer. I think it might be a little bit more in the air now. Who do you think is higher on the depth chart, Scott Perunovic or Matthew Kessel?
Oh, let's see.
Because like 2 years ago, it was definitely Perunovic.
Right.
Now it's like, I don't know. Kessel's really fallen into favor with management.
So Kessel was an NCAA player before. Perunovic was straight out of, I believe, juniors. And they're also 2 years apart, mind you. Perunovic is a little bit older, but he has more experience in the pro scene with the AHL after his recovery from that first leg injury. That leg injury was bad.
Yeah, it was.
It very much just destroyed his leg for a while. Do I think that they are switching positions in terms of the depth chart? I think right now they're a little more balanced. I think Kessel has a slight edge just because of his lack of injuries. I think Perunovic is still one of the best prospects in the Blues defensive system, especially for his puck movement abilities and his control over power plays. So I'll give the offensive edge to Perunovic, but I'll give Kessel the defensive edge. And this is mostly because he played in the AHL an entire season. He didn't do any call-ups except for like the small stint at the end of the season.
Right.
But he definitely has more of his defensive game steady because he hasn't had to deal with so many injuries. Perunovic's issue, he's had so many injuries and they've happened in the defensive zone.
Yeah, that's true. So what makes this interesting for me is you talk about how maybe the slight edge goes to Kessel because he's a little bit more defensively responsible. So looking at, let's just say, Blues go into next season with the exact same defense they have now, for the most part. The big contracts are still there.
Mm-hmm.
You got one or two spots. And do you think because of the puck-moving defenseman they have right now, Kessel gets that edge because they want somebody out there who's a little bit more defensively responsible with these puck-moving defensemen?
I think I could actually see that, honestly. I think it also just comes to the point with his injuries, with Prunovich's injuries, it just makes it harder to see him as a more defensive-sided defenseman. And with how many puck-moving defensemen we have, it gives Kessel a lot more options than Prunovich right now.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And hot take, I think Prunovich is going to get traded this summer with a pick to get either a really good 26-year-old player. I really think they'll use it.
I could see it because the
I
talk
like
right now.
I like him. I want to keep him, but
right.
Doug Armstrong doesn't want to do a rebuild.
There's a lot of talk about Torrey Krug getting moved, and making room for Perunovic, but I've thought about the opposite too. I'm like, well, what if they just trade Perunovic and they say, well, we've already got Krug for this spot, so we don't need him. It could go either way.
It could. It very much could. My issue with it is there's too much money tied up in the defense to maintain a balanced team, in my opinion. I feel like trading Krug, getting rid of Scandella, I know DA doesn't like to do any buyouts ever.
Yes.
But I feel like you need to buy him out and let some of the younger players come up.
Agree. Yeah, at this point,
they've shown they can play.
Buy him out.
Yeah. I really feel like it'll be better for them in the long run to either trade him for a small pick, like a 7th rounder, or just buy him out and give some of the younger players a chance. And then you can fill the AHL with future defenseman prospects that you might pick in this upcoming draft and later rounds.
So 3 big prospects that were not on the Thunderbirds that everyone's talking about right now in St. Louis: Zachary Bolduc, Zach Dean, and Jimmy Snuggerud. Those are the big names that everyone's been, wait till they're NHL players. Of those 3, who are you most excited about?
So this is going to be actually a hot take, but I'm not excited as much about those 3 as I am excited about one other. And this is one I mentioned earlier, Marc-Andre Gaudet.
Ooh, all right.
The reason why I'm excited about him is because of just how few defensemen we have in the prospect system. And this kid is just going off. He's only in his 2nd season of the juniors. Or no, sorry, wrong player. He's in his final season of the juniors. He's going to graduate. And he's already showcasing a huge amount of talent. He actually increased his point total by 20 this year.
Wow.
And he did it while also being on 2 different teams.
Wow. And this is a kid that was drafted in the 5th round last year.
Yep.
152nd overall, and you're saying
that is correct.
Most excited about him. Woo! There's a take.
I am most excited about him, especially because we have so few defensemen in our system right now. We are log jammed with forwards.
Yes, that's true.
And it's hard enough trying to find defensemen that'll pan out. I feel like this guy could be a really good defenseman, potentially top 4.
Wow, that's high praise. That's good to hear, though. The Blues need it.
Oh, they do. And some of the best things about his game, he played roughly the same amount of games played last season. His penalty minutes, they're still about the same, actually, which is really good. If you can show consistency with that as a defenseman, you're pretty good. Yeah. The best part is plus minus went up. as well as his point production. Those are huge.
Yeah.
That literally shows that, yes, he is growing. He is very much a potential hidden gem.
That's good to hear. Blues got that with Parayko, they felt like. So having it again would be very nice on the defensive side.
Yeah,
so
Parayko was such an outlier.
Yeah, he really was. There's a couple other defensemen that are in the Blues' system that I think a lot of people are kind of keeping an eye on. Michael I always say his name wrong. Buchinger with the OHL's Guelph Storm, and then of course Leo Loof, who's playing over in Finland.
If I remember right, I think you're thinking as Buchinger is the wrong position because he is a D. Okay, I'm thinking of someone else. Yeah, no, he's actually kind of surprising, especially for a defenseman on a middle of the pack team in the OHL. And the OHL is the Ontario Hockey League. For anyone that doesn't know, it's one of the 3 leagues that make up the CHL, which is Canadian Juniors.
Yes.
So for anyone that doesn't know that, there's your little history lesson.
So from what I've read about Buchinger is he's a great power play quarterback. So again, another one like that on the defensive side.
Yeah.
And he's not terrible defensive. Apparently, they say a very good puck mover, which right now the Blues have plenty of, but can also play a little defense.
The biggest thing for me is his ability to his playmaking ability from the blue line as well. For most of the season with Guelph, he was actually their best defensive player, and he made plays happen, not just on the power play. I mean, 52 assists as a defenseman. Even in juniors, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And again, he was drafted by the Blues last year, 3rd round, 88 overall. And also, he's got a great birthday, April 25th. So that is my birthday. But he actually graduated my birthday, the year I graduated high school is the year he was born. So
wow,
makes me feel very old.
Oh wow,
25, 2004.
I actually found out there has never been a single hockey player born on my day.
Are you serious?
Yep. Nobody in the NHL or AHL or any of the juniors have ever played. Yeah, none of them have my birthday.
That's crazy. What's your birthday?
Yeah, so November 15th.
Huh.
Tarasenko, technically, I was actually born a month early. I was supposed to be born the exact same day that Tarasenko was.
Oh, wow. Same age?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right.
Yep.
There you go.
But instead I said, no, I want to come out first.
Yeah. You want to beat Tarasenko to this world.
Uh-huh.
I don't blame you one bit.
But yeah.
Actually,
it's crazy.
Let's see, who's the other one? Leo Loof, also born on April 25th.
Leo Loof.
Yeah, he was, oh boy, my battery's headset. I got to change that. But yeah, born on April 25th, 2002. So I'm like, man, a couple of Blues prospects just love my birthday.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, no. Leo Loof is really an interesting player. I remember in the end of season presser, Armstrong said that he is one of the prospects that he's going to be talking to this summer to get signed.
Yeah.
And I don't blame him. This kid needs to get
well.
Oh, he is. Let's see. Was it him or was it the other one? There is another player that also played in the same league as Leo Loof. Leo Loof is actually a Swedish national, but he plays in the Finnish league. Which is pretty normal there, but it's pretty interesting to see someone not playing the Swedish league, but playing the Finnish league.
Right.
It's interesting to see that little difference.
Yeah.
Especially for us in America, where we only see Canadian and U.S. players, mostly.
That's true. So Leo Loof, again, drafted 2020, round 3, number 88 overall. Yep. And he's 6'1", 179. I was reading that apparently he's won in the past, won basically an award for the league's best defenseman when he was playing over in for Farja I can't say it. Farjestad. Sorry, folks.
It's okay.
Farjestad. However that is said in Finnish. He's also a very good stick handler. So again, somebody who the Blues might be looking at to step in sooner rather than later if they can trade one of these big defensive contracts.
Yeah, no, for sure. And Leo Loof is actually one of the few prospects so far, pending the CHL playoffs. He actually helped his team in Liga win third place bronze medal, which is kind of weird. Their playoffs actually consist of medals, whereas Sweden, DEL, those all consider trophies. So it's interesting to see a professional league actually work with medals and not trophies.
Yeah, that is weird. It's very odd. So we've got just a plethora of prospects we could talk through here, but anyone we haven't mentioned, Vanessa, that really jumps off the page to you and you're just like, yeah, Blues fans need to know about this player.
Yeah, so I have quite a few actually. One is Aleksanteri Kasamaki. He was drafted last year in the third round. He actually finished fourth in the playoffs, losing to Leo Loof's team in the Finnish Liga. He played a very solid game, both regular season and playoffs. I feel like this is someone Doug Armstrong should target after this year to potentially sign and bring over to the North American style of ice hockey, especially since the rinks are smaller. I really like his stats. They're very conservative. He's not trying to get a lot of points, but he's mainly making sure to help his team defensively, like really, really well. So that's that one. Was it this? Another one I think we might want to keep an eye on is Arseny Gormizyalov. He's a Russian playing for SKA St. Petersburg. He's actually dabbled in all three levels of the Russian Federation's Hockey League. And just so you know, Russia has AHL and junior level play as well as North America. I believe it's MHL and VHL are junior and AHL level, and then KHL is the NHL equivalent. He actually was able to advance this entire year and play in the KHL. He didn't play in the playoffs at all. I believe his team was knocked out. I wasn't able to actually look that up yet. That was something I was supposed to do this morning, but I had stuff to do.
That's all right.
But for about 29 games in the pro, like the highest level in Russia, he played very well. This very easily could be a really good player to keep an eye on. Hopefully he doesn't get involved with everything going on in Russia and Ukraine. Hopefully that never happens, and we can maybe get him out of there and over to the AHL, help fill out our team a little bit more.
Yep.
But he's definitely one to look at. He's also just as conservative as Kasamaki. So
I'll say,
we'll have to keep an eye
let's
on
get
that.
these two guys on the team just because, my God, those names are phenomenal.
Yeah. Let's see. Some of the other ones I feel like we should keep an eye on. One for sure is Dylan Peterson, drafted in 2020 third round. He's with Boston University. He actually faced off against Snuggerud in the semifinals of the Frozen Four. And he played very well. I was watching the game. I enjoyed watching him play. I was also rooting for Snuggerud because it's Snuggerud. He's freaking cool. He's awesome player. Even as a freshman. As a freshman, he's just so good. It's crazy. Yeah. But yeah, no, Dylan Peterson, I think, is someone to keep an eye on. He's going to be potentially entering his fourth year, which will be his final year for the NCAA program. Or he might choose to forego the fourth year and sign with the Blues this summer. That'd be a pretty good prospect to grab. Since he's already finished his 3 years of NCAA, he would technically have a fourth, and then he would graduate. He would have until June 1st of that year he graduates before he can sign again. And I had to look all of this up when I was looking up and researching the NCAA players. It's a very interesting thing.
There's a lot of interesting things with the business of hockey. So
it's amazing.
Yeah.
Let's see. Another person they should probably keep an eye on. We do have one player in the OHL who is still playing in the playoffs. His team advanced again. That would be Landon Sim, drafted last year in the 6th round. Yes, he's produced the same amount of points, but he actually did it in less games, which is still pretty good. It shows that he is developing, just at a slower rate. But he's still someone to definitely keep an eye on. This is his sophomore season in the juniors, which is pretty good.
Yeah, I read an interesting report on him that basically he's really good at being very patient with the puck. That
yes.
He will, like, somebody will come up and attack, and he waits until the defenseman reaches for the puck to pull out a deke because he knows that'll basically have him off balance. And I'm like, hey, that's a hell of a skill to have at that age.
Yeah.
So hopefully he can continue that progression.
Yeah, and honestly, if he can translate that to the pro scene, defensemen better watch out because he can make some plays that'll just drop you back on your feet.
Yeah.
I will mention this. We do have a few players that I really feel like are just not progressing as well as the Blues hope. For these, I'll just list them off. This is a 7th rounder in 2021, Ivan Vorobiev. He's been bouncing up and down between the AHL, CHL level in Russia, the VHL, and the MHL. At least for right now, he's been stuck in the VHL for this season. It doesn't seem like he's really able to bring his compete level up for the KHL. I feel like he probably would do better coming over to the AHL here in NA. At least maybe to just develop better. Otherwise, I don't really see him developing as well. Let's see. So the other 2 goalies in our prospect pool, they are just... I just don't see them really panning out that well. I'm sorry, Colton Ellis. I know you're from the St. Louis metro region. You were just not... You're stuck in the ECHL. And yeah, I'm going to chirp you. Your save percentage is shit, dude. Like, you're worse than Swiss cheese. Come on. The other goalie, Will Cranley, he's not been having a good season on Flintbird Firebirds. They're another team in the OHL. They did make the playoffs barely, but they also lost in pretty sad fashion. And he was not having a good season at all, which really sucks. So that was a 6th rounder that probably isn't going to pan out.
Yeah, I mean, goalies, man, they're so hit and miss. You can get a guy that'll...
They are.
I remember Marek Schwartz. I don't know if you remember that name.
I do.
Blues picked him, gosh, that was probably 2008-ish.
Yep.
And
yeah, around 2008.
I mean, it was really like, this dude like was a hit. The Blues like ran to the podium to make the pick because it was like, I can't believe he's still available.
Mm-hmm.
I think he played maybe a half an NHL game, never went anywhere. Looked awful in every system since being drafted. And it's just, and then sometimes you get a huge hit. You get a guy like a Brian Elliott drafted in the 9th round, a round that doesn't even exist anymore. And he's still playing in the NHL.
Yeah, no, for sure. I would also like to add, I think out of all the trades the Blues made this season, I think Zachary Dean is the best thing we got back. And we got it back for Ivan Barbashev, which is saying something. But although Zachary Dean did not make as many points as, let's say, a Zachary Bolduc, who hit over 110, Zachary Dean has been a force of nature when it comes to the playoffs in the QMJ. He leads the entire playoff statistics, 23 total points, 9 goals, 14 assists. He is on the score sheet every single game out of the 9 games that they've played.
Yeah, 9 goals in 9 games. Very exciting.
Yeah, and that's not even included all the goals that he assisted.
Yeah. And he apparently is a quick skater, quick thinker, which is huge. I read that his hands are independent of his feet. Oh, boy. My headphones just died. That's okay. We can continue.
All good.
Yep. Anyway, but yeah, he apparently plays at a pace that is just quick. His hands work quick. His feet are quick. They're working independently of each other, and he's a very maneuverable player. So very exciting, and I'm with you. When they got him, and I instantly went to look up who he was, and I saw what people were saying about him. I'm like, and then this playoff run, because I was paying attention, and I'm like, oh my God, this Dean kid is killing it.
He's not just killing it. He's showing, even under pressure, he can increase his point per game average. Regular season, he had a 1.4 point per game. Yeah, he blew that out of the water. It's currently sitting at a 2.56. That is huge.
Yeah, that's absolutely nuts. Good for him.
Yeah, and Bolduc could easily be doing the exact same thing, but because of how well he did in this actual regular season, any team that he's playing against, they're covering him, and they're making it their sole purpose to keep him off the scoreboard. They're doing it. He's still finding ways.
Yep.
But that's only because they know that he is lethal.
That is the
and then comes Dean, who is just saying, "Ha, you didn't pay attention at all regular season to me. Now I'm showing you."
That's right. Yeah, that's the mark to me of a good player, because, eventually you're going to draw the best defenseman, the best structure is going to be played against you in your line. And if you can still find a way to even basically moonshot yourself to where you're even playing better and you're playing on a higher level, holy shit, look out. That's the way to go.
This is actually going to be Zach Dean's final year allowed in juniors, if I remember correctly. He should age out. Easily, I think he can actually compete for a spot on the roster.
That's great to hear. Man, imagine Golden
I actually think it's going to be between Zach Dean and Zachary Bolduc. We're going to see a new Zachary on the actual roster come opening night. Just not sure which one.
We'll see. Imagine the Golden Knights fans if Barbashev moves on.
They're kind of mad.
Yeah, and Dean's on the opening lineup for the Blues that night.
No, and it's the funniest thing. I have a friend or two that actually live in Vegas, or they visit often, and they're all upset. They're just like, "Why do we have to trade him? Couldn't we have traded someone a little bit less?" Like, damn it. It's like, no.
I mean, that's what I say. People are like, well, back before the trade, you got to hope that the Blues, if they can hold out long enough, maybe they'll get a first rounder and for Barbashev and get 3 first rounders this year in trades. And I'm like, you kind of did. Zach Dean is, to me, he's even better than a first rounder because he's already well through his development. I think that was an excellent trade by Doug Armstrong.
Yeah. At first, I thought I was dreaming when I woke up and I saw that news posting. It's like, wait a minute. Because this is actually a guy that I took a look at just by doing a small bit of research throughout the year, seeing who Bolduc's competition was. And I'm like, wait a minute. This guy was a first rounder for late in 2021. Hold up.
Yep. Pretty crazy.
Yeah. No, and I completely agree with that statement that they did get 3 first rounders. It's just one of them was already used to pick a first round caliber player.
Yeah, and you got a first rounder that is already in his development. And so maybe even next year we see fruits of the labor of trading Ivan Barbashev.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
And if I remember correctly, Barbashev, he was what was his draft year?
Oh, geez.
Yeah, he was a second rounder in 2014.
14, yeah. Yep.
That alone, that is amazing.
He was used in the pick that the Blues acquired in the original David Perron trade.
That's right.
Yep.
Okay. That's what it was.
So anyway,
That's insane.
this has been a lot of fun, Vanessa. Before we wrap up, though, I do want to say I haven't officially announced it yet. Actually, I think I will this episode. So for those of you listening, you've probably already heard me say this. Vanessa is part of our panel for the summer series that we're doing of the all-time team. So I believe I've gotten all your picks already.
Yeah.
So I've seen
Yeah,
your
you
team.
got all of them.
Solid. I love it. And, we'll be revealing the winners here. I guess the finalists for the team after some Twitter polls, but hope you had fun picking your team, and we're happy to have you on board. And again, I don't think this is going to be the only time we'll hear from you this summer. We'll probably bring you on again to talk about some of the picks in our reveal shows of the all-time team.
Okay. Yeah, no, for sure.
Cool. Awesome. Well, Vanessa, again, always have a pleasure talking with you. Love that we talk about prospects with you. That is even cooler because we don't get to get a lot of prospect talk on the show. So love it. And thank you very much for your insight. I know our listeners appreciate it too. Yeah,
no, it's not a problem. And honestly, I'm sorry, but I am going to chirp you. At least I can go bar down.
Oh, you did go bar down. We got it on video.
Yes. And I called it.
You did. I made sure in our video to include that you saying like,
oh, I did. I saw
down. I was like, I gotta put that in there. Yep. I had a chance to go bar down today, and I went about 5 feet wide. So,
well,
rolled off my stick.
Maybe during that Hockey Fest thing in May, you can do that in front of Chris Pronger.
Yes, I'll do my best, and then I'll turn around and chirp him. It's the guy on shoes playing hockey.
Yep, that'll be amazing.
Cool. Thank you very much, Vanessa. It's always a pleasure talking with you, and love having you on. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, as we get ready to close up the show, I just wanted to share some insight from our friend Mike Burgoyne over at strikewithmike.com. I actually spoke with him the other day, and he just kind of made a comment that the market right now is super tricky. His words exactly. So right now, you're better off with a professional to help you navigate it. I've read a little bit just because I've just been interested in the work he does. I read that interest rates are still rising, and investors should be putting more money down when applicable. Going into a purchase with zero money down may not be a great idea anymore. I'm reading all this stuff, and I'm just like, oh, man, like having this insight when I bought my house would have been super nice. And I know that Mike is the guy that can help you with that. So again, strikewithmike.com. Check that out. Talk to Mike Burgoyne. He is going to be on top of all this stuff that about interest rates, home loans, zero money down, any of those buzzwords that you hear in real estate. He's on top of it. He knows what he's doing. So he's going to be in your corner. So, again, we can't stress enough, and we're happy to have him back for summer, as well as Dustin Paul at rockandthatidlife.com and Center Ice Brewery. We're so happy to have them back on board this summer. But still, Mike does a great job with real estate. Again, I'm a friend of his. I follow him on Facebook and constantly seeing how he's winning awards. He's getting named like a great spot or a great realtor in his brokerage firm. So again, great job with Mike Burgoyne. If you're looking to buy or sell, make sure you hit him up. I also want to take this moment to thank Vanessa one more time for joining us on the show and for being a part of our Blues All-Time Team panel. Look forward to talking to her a little bit more over the summer. So thanks again for her awesome insight on this episode. We will have another special guest next week. Not sure who that is quite yet, so don't really go anywhere because it will be somebody cool, I promise. After that, we'll likely have something dedicated to the announcement of the draft lottery because that will be the following week. That's coming up, folks. And then we'll probably have our first reveal show after that, as long as there's no crazy news and we have to go live with the show. We'll have our first reveal show for the Blues All-Time Team, and that will be a left-handed defenseman show. So we'll see which three players make the starting lineup for the Blues All-Time Team in just a couple weeks. So stay tuned for that one as well. That'll do it. for this week's episode. Support for Let's Go Blues Radio is brought to you in part by RockinThatIDLife.com, where spring cleaning isn't just for your home. Let's clean up your health together. Visit RockinThatIDLife.com for more information. That's RockinThatIDLife.com, and get 10% off by emailing Dustin at RockinThatIDLife@gmail.com and tell him Let's Go Blues Radio sent you. And by Mike Burgoyne from Real Brokerage Realty. Visit strikewithmike.com today for all of your home buying and selling needs. That's strikewithmike.com. And again, tell him that Let's Go Blues Radio sent you. And by Center Ice Brewery, St. Louis's tasty hockey-themed beer. Check out centericebrewery.com and navigate to their Where to Find Us page for availability. That's Center Ice Brewery beer. Please drink responsibly. That will do it for episode 1 of season 12 of the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. That's it for this week's show. Thank you kindly for tuning in, and have a great week, everyone. For Kurt Price, Bill Day, and producer Austin, I'm Jeff Ponder, and I will talk with you next week. This was Let's Go Blues Radio. Until next time, everyone, all for City. Let's go Cards. Let's go Blues.
Sit, Ubu, sit. Good dog.
You thought I was going to say, son of a bitch, didn't you?